I want to take you back to 2020. You were the governor of Minnesota. There were summer protests. You referred to them as peaceful demonstrations. In hindsight, would you still stand by that? Were they mostly peaceful?
Congressman, after the murder of George Floyd on the streets, thousands gathered in the streets. Were there those that...
But, Governor, were they mostly peaceful protests?
The vast majority certainly were. Those that weren't...
So why would you have to call out the National Guard for mostly peaceful protests?
Did you guys just see that? That was Minnesota Governor Tim Walz getting completely cornered. You know, for years we've heard this narrative that the 2020 riots were just mostly peaceful demonstrations, right? Well, Representative Pat Fallon from Texas wasn't buying it, and he just took him to school. But it gets worse. Wait until you hear what this governor called our federal law enforcement officers. It is shocking, it is disrespectful, and honestly, it's disqualifying. Stick around because we are breaking down exactly how Fallon exposed the hypocrisy of these sanctuary state governors. Let's get into it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Walz, would you say that one of the most important things any governor, or quite frankly any elected official, can do is to keep their citizens and constituents safe?
I would, Congressman.
Great, I would agree. And I asked this because when I was reading your bio that you provided, nowhere did you mention the safety and security of Minnesotans or fighting crime or supporting law enforcement or, for that matter, the rule of law. So I want to take you back to 2020. You were the governor of Minnesota. There were summer protests. You referred to them as peaceful demonstrations. In hindsight, would you still stand by that? Were they mostly peaceful?
Congressman, after the murder of George Floyd on the streets, thousands gathered in the streets. Were there those that...
But, Governor, were they mostly peaceful protests?
The vast majority certainly were. Those that weren't...
So why would you have to call out the National Guard for mostly peaceful protests?
They weren't all peaceful protests.
Okay, so they weren't. All right, mostly. So, Governor, the total damage in dollars, what was that in Minnesota for the peaceful protests?
I don't have that in...
All right, according to the insurance industry in Minnesota, they put the number between $1 and $2 billion, and your own state Senate put the price tag at $500 million. So if that's a peaceful protest in Minnesota, I shudder to think what a violent one would cost. Governor, I'd like to keep things simple.
Okay. I did not call it that. We had folks who were there, and they're in prison.
Okay, great. I'd like to keep things simple as far as when we talk about federal detainers, and I've talked to several federal law enforcement officials about this. So a detainer is issued when someone's already in custody and confined, jail, prison, court. It's not somebody just plucked off the street randomly, and there's really three conditions, and it's and/or probable cause that a foreign national is subject to removal from this country, final deportation order has been issued, or it's a foreign national that's been convicted of a crime and is about to be released. So sanctuary states won't cooperate with federal law enforcement. In Minnesota, do you cooperate sometimes, never, or all the time?
We follow federal law in all 87 counties and all the jurisdictions. Some of them do honor detainer requests.
Some do and some don't.
That's correct.
Okay.
Counties have the ability.
Okay. So, Governor, would you commit here and now, and this is really simple, I think it's commonsensical, to compel state and locals in Minnesota to cooperate with all federal detainers issued by federal law enforcement when it involves a foreign national that's been convicted of a felony? And I'm talking about kidnappers, rapists, child molesters, murderers, predators, parasites, scumbags. In all those instances,
a felony being held by my state corrections, every time we call.
Every single time you're going to do that.
Every time we
in
call
Minnesota.
them and have them come pick it up. What I would ask you to commit to is, are you going to fund ICE's what they don't pay us on detainers?
Well, listen, on detainers and in ICE, I don't call them the Gestapo. And this is my definition of Gestapo, Governor. Real Nazis from 1933 to 1945 that facilitated and participated in the murder of millions. I don't call federal law enforcement officers Gestapo. You were recently quoted. Where's the apology?
Donald Trump.
Oh, no, Donald Trump didn't. Listen, Donald Trump's not here.
Yeah.
You are, Governor.
Yeah.
You're a big boy. Put your big boy pants on.
I would ask, don't wear masks. Identify who you are. Don't pull up an
Governor, you called them Gestapo. Will you apologize for that?
And don't pull people.
Will you apologize for that?
Congressman, my job, I'm a history teacher.
Okay, so you won't. Okay, we're going to move on. No, Mr. Chairman, I reclaim my time. If you won't answer the question. I think that's hyperbolic demagoguery. I mean, you said that in a speech, maybe you got a little carried away. I don't know if you apologize for that too, that you were, quote, going to kick Republicans' asses. I mean, I didn't say that. You said it. And that's dangerous rhetoric, especially when you use Gestapo. That's lazy too, and it's terribly inaccurate. The fact of the matter is, Again, time and again, you've excused violence and you use dangerous, irresponsible rhetoric. And you can choose between being on the side of law enforcement or the side of vicious criminals. And you've chosen the latter time and again. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you want to impress your limousine liberal friends when you're eating wine and cheese, or you're getting your coffee every morning at the hemp store. I don't know, but I think it's ignorant and I think it's culpable and I think it's disgusting. And I can see why the American people on November 5th made it a very bad night for you and a very great night for our future. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I don't think I've seen a takedown that clean in a long time. Pat Fallon didn't just ask questions, he laid a trap, and Walz walked right into it every single time. First off, let's talk about this mostly peaceful nonsense. Fallon brings the receipts immediately. He asks a simple question. Do you still stand by that? And Walz tries to do that politician two-step, talking about the vast majority. But Fallon hits him with the reality check. $2 billion. That is the insurance estimate for the damage in Minnesota. Since when does a peaceful protest cost $2 billion in damage? Fallon's line there was perfect. If that's a peaceful protest, I shudder to think what a violent one would cost. Exactly. You cannot burn down a city and then turn around and tell the taxpayers it was a peaceful gathering. It's gaslighting, plain and simple, and Fallon refused to let him get away with it. Then we pivot to safety. This is where it gets scary. Fallon moves to the sanctuary state issue. He lays out exactly what a federal detainer is. We aren't talking about random people. We are talking about foreign nationals who have been convicted of crimes, probable cause, deportation orders. Walz tries to claim they follow the law, but then he admits it. Counties in Minnesota can choose not to cooperate. So you have a governor who is basically admitting that in his state, local officials can shield criminals from federal law enforcement. Fallon lists them out. Kidnappers, rapists, murderers. These are the people sanctuary policies protect, not innocent families, violent felons. Walz's answer? A word salad about funding ICE. It was weak, and he knew he was losing. But the moment that really made my jaw drop, the Gestapo comment. Fallon calls him out for comparing ICE agents, men and women who risk their lives to secure our border and keep us safe, to the Gestapo, the actual Nazis. Think about how offensive that is. And when Fallon gives him a chance to apologize, a chance to walk it back and say, you know what, I went too far, Walz refuses. He tries to hide behind being a history teacher. Well, Governor, if you're a history teacher, you should know better. Comparing American law enforcement to a regime that murdered millions is disgusting. Fallon was 100% right to shut him down. You don't get to lecture us on history while smearing our officers. And that closing monologue from Fallon? Chef's kiss. He called it exactly what it is, limousine liberal politics. These politicians sit in their ivory towers, safe and secure, while their policies unleash crime on regular working-class neighborhoods. They demonize the police to impress their donor friends, while real people suffer the consequences. Fallon exposed Tim Walz not just as incompetent, but as totally out of touch with reality. He stood up for law enforcement, he stood up for the rule of law, and he stood up for common sense. We need more of that in Washington. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Walz should apologize for that Gestapo comment? And how bad did Fallon win this round? Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.